federal regulations, right? So if you're building a home, it'd be up to you to follow the state and federal regulations. You don't always have, so it's not for PG&E. Yeah, I understand you're saying there's no third party review, but in certain cases there is. If we're getting a 1600 permit, Cal Fish and Wildlife would be that third party
in some
review.
cases, this project as a whole has no.
Those other projects wouldn't require a third party to review that work.
Well, you don't require it only because there's no law in place for it at this time.
And my last question. I have a very hard time, as do many people, really seeing the emergency in this. Because and I've asked some of your people here, and it's still not a satisfactory answer. If you discover a leak in a pipeline, we don't have a fire, you discover a leak. I gather you were describing that in San Mateo. Surely you don't send in any vehicle with an internal combustion engine to a place where there is leaking gas. When I look on my tips, do's and don'ts, if you have a gas leak, it says, don't operate a garage door, don't do anything, you know. So wouldn't you turn off the gas, and including your example with San Mateo, which is the only one I've heard about where the tree roots were that 4-hour problem, surely all the gas would be off before you have people in there with engines. Is that correct? Or are you going in with leaking gas where 4 hours makes a difference? I'm not understanding the nature of the emergency.
Well, you seem to feel that the only response that we have to an emergency is to drive a combustible vehicle up to the pipeline? Is that?
No, I'm asking you, if you have a leak, do you not turn off the gas, evacuate the pipeline, and only then go in with someone who would dig through the asphalt and concrete?
There are times, depending on where the pipe leak is, or if there is a puncture or something like that, I don't know where we would need, at the time, there are people that make a professional determination where we need to access that pipe. If there is a tree in the way, then we have to have that tree removed. Doesn't mean the access to the pipe is where we need to get access so that we can make that pipe safe. So the answer is really, it depends, which I know is not a satisfactory answer for you, but you, as you said, we are looking at this in a very proactive way. We want to make sure that we prevent any other problems.
I understand
and this is
that,
where we believe that this will do that. Nobody is going to leave here happy. We know that. Okay?
Just like an answer.
No, and my answer is, I believe that that is a risk. I believe that when it comes to accessing the pipe, there are times that we have to have actual people walk up to that pipe, and there may be leaking gas. And I want to make sure that everything is out of the way so that when my folks go up there and do work, or people, people that I know, when I have firefighters and police and all that other stuff, I want to make sure that the pipe is as safe as can be.
So you fix a pipe that's still leaking.
Yes. We actually have special equipment. We have people that get in special suits to physically go up. And you have to understand what the flammability range of gas is, and that we're actually able to work within the flammability range. We have people who actually work on the pipeline with gas flowing through it. They actually weld on that pipeline because they understand that the flammability range is 5 to 15%. So if the gas is at 25%, it's beyond the flammability range. So there's certain pieces of equipment who can go into that area and operate. It's when it's traveling into that flammability range, and we're constantly monitoring that. So if it's rising towards it, we're worried. If it's within it, we're very worried. If it's above it, well, we can manage that. So we're looking at it constantly, and we have the right piece of tools and the right piece of equipment to operate in the hot zone. And we have people who operate in that hot zone on a daily basis. And it's a frightening thing, but you know what? We want to protect the public.
So the San Mateo, you were operating with gas leaking?
Within the hot zone. And we routine, on a daily basis, our folks go through a lot of training. They have to go through a year's worth of training before they're allowed to even go near that pipeline to touch a valve even, much less when they go into the hot zone and start working with their tools.
It's just the dispersion of the gas. Depends if it's in a
it's
contained
the air
area.
fuel mixture.
Yeah,
right.
the contained area, you got a problem. It's out in the open.
If we have it in a sewer line, if we have it in a home, if we have it in a garage, Those are all scary things for us. We're worried about, is there an ignition source available? And cars are ignition sources, but a backhoe is not. A backhoe can actually operate because what ignites the gas on an automobile is the catalytic converter. Backhoes don't have catalytic converters. So we understand what equipment is safe to operate near it, and we're going to bring those pieces of equipment to that resource to make sure it's safe for our community.
Okay, I'm going to go 1, 2, and 3, and then some people want to talk independently with some of the PG&E folks, so then we'll go there, I think. Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay. What I've got to say is that if you did what you said you're going to do, you'd be in violation of federal requirements in terms of the Office of Pipeline Safety. They do not want you to do that. They don't want emergency personnel rushing into a gas line break. It's actually in the written in their own literature. They don't want.
Speak up.
Okay. Yes, the Office of Pipeline Safety and their regulations do not want emergency personnel going into a gas line break. It's right here, it's all in writing. It says it. They do not want it. They want to have trained personnel only go in, and they want to make sure that you don't have an energized vehicle going into that particular area. They want emergency personnel to evacuate the area, help people get out of the area. But it brings up a very important point, Darren, that you mentioned. Okay, if there is a break, you said, okay, we have to evacuate the pipe. Where is that portion of the pipe being evacuated? Is it by the compressors, or do you just let it bleed off? And that's a very important consideration in terms of where you're going to work on that pipe.
Right, and it depends on the situation that we're in. And that's why we're sitting here today talking about, you know, what could happen. I don't know everything that could happen to a pipeline. I do know that, you know, one of the things we should stress, like you said, is first responders that are police and fire should not be going towards that pipe, quoting your article, and that it should be people that are trained. And those are our PG&E first responders that are the ones that are trained going towards the pipe that Dane was referring to.
It disturbs me that you're very much concerned about having pilot lights go out, as opposed to if you have a break, such as in Moraga, you did the right thing. You got everybody evacuated out of that area when you had a four-inch pipe break. And you got them out of the area, then you did work on that 4-inch pipe. And that's the important thing, you know, getting equipment out of there, out of the area. Aliso Canyon was a perfect example. They were so paranoid with respect to the leak in Aliso Canyon, they didn't even allow handheld iPhones near break. So you have to worry about, you know, your air-gas mixture and whether you're going to get wind or anything like that. And it is a very important consideration when you do emergency vehicles getting into it. And that's another thing.
It is a very important consideration, and Paul, you've given us feedback, and you've continued to give us feedback. I know you're going to continue, and we can continue these discussions. And we do have some experts here when we break back out to be able to talk to them that I want you to talk
They
to.
want us to close down at 8:30, so some people. We've got here.
Okay, thank you.
Just a
I've been
couple.
looking for the answer to this. Maybe you can help. So, PG&E is not the original owner of this pipeline. The pipeline were on my house in Santa Cruz was put in 1946, and a easement was granted to Coast Counties Gas in 1946.
Yep.
In 1954, PG&E bought Coast Counties Gas. I buy my house 40 years after that, in 1993. On my title, there is no mention of PG&E having an easement on my land. What happened to that?
That's a great question. I don't know what happened to that, but we got to find that out. And I know that we've had people meeting with you, Mr. Stewart, to discuss a lot of these issues. And that is one particular issue that we should bring back to our attorneys and figure out why it isn't listed that way. I wish I could give you an answer right now, but it's a little hard for me to do that.
You get a short one.
It's only the transmission line that you're looking at.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and there's only one there's only one transmission line, in Santa Cruz County that you're looking at, is that correct?
Yes, and there is roughly 60 miles of transmission line in Santa Cruz. Less than half of the 60 miles has vegetation that we have been assessing.
So the only part of Santa Cruz County that you're going to look at for this project is the corridor, the Graham Hill corridor?
Well, there's Graham Hill, but it also goes down through Aptos, down into Watsonville, through Capitola and Live Oak. We had an open house in the Live Oak area a couple weeks ago to talk about where the pipe is
So
there
that's
and
it.
also the
That's
county.
Sum total of where you'll be cutting in this one?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
You had one.
Yeah, real quick one. How does the size, pressure, and volume of this transmission line compare to the San Bruno one that ruptured?
I know there's certain information I can give and can't give. When it comes to size of the pipe, I do want to stress that it usually doesn't matter. It's the pressure of the gas in
Right,
the pipe.
I
And these
said
are
the
all
pressure.
rated at very, very high pressures.
Mhm.
I cannot get into particular details, but I can share that information with the supervisor through an operations request that would give the information as to the size of pipe, year, all of those kinds of things, and we can share it through your supervisor. But to answer your question real quick, it's about 12 inches, right?
I mean, is it similar to the
Pressure I
San
can't
Bruno
talk about.
one?
The San Bruno one is 36 inches.
Okay.
And so,
Bigger.
or 30, I'm sorry, 30. Thank you, George.
I think we're going to break back out because we need to close up shop here at 8:30. And some folks have said that they want to meet independently. So I think we'll do that and break up again to our session for the last 20 minutes. And thank you for coming and thank you for your explanation. Thank you.
Well,